Kia ora, Jamin here. Just beautiful day in the Canterbury Southern Alps and High Country riverbeds. Just out for a Wrybill search. Apparently they've slowly been moving up some of the Canterbury rivers. They might have started nesting on some of the lower Canterbury rivers. So they might be making their way up here. They might not be here yet, or they might not come here this year. There's not enough of them. But yeah, just out for a Wrybill search today, hoping to see something in that line. So we'll just see how we go. It's not too bad a day, but it might be the odd shower, bit of a cold wind, but the sun's nice when it comes out. And yeah, just there's some oyster catches here, but not much else so far. But only just started really. So this is about 3 weeks ago I came and had a look, and yeah, didn't see any Wrybills. There were dotterels, oyster catchers, plovers and seagull, blackback gulls. But now I just have another look for a little bit, see if any Wrybills turn up yet. Cool to see, I've never seen a Wrybill before, so I'll be looking forward to it at some point. So it's South Island oyster catchers. They dropped in about 30 metres away, but they've wandered off a bit further. Yeah, one of them was sitting down on the ground. I think just too early, pretty sure it's too early for nesting. She certainly wasn't hanging around, they weren't here already. I think that she's just so yeah, there comes a spur and plover in the background there. Coming for a look-see. So that's the lapwing, or spur and plover. They have an Australian import that arrived at about the 80s. Self-introduced to New Zealand from Australia. Well, probably early in the 80s, but they started becoming more prevalent in the 80s and 90s when I was growing up. They're unique because they're called spur and plover because they've actually got a spurs on their, about the centre of their wings, about what would be the equivalent to an elbow, I guess. And so yeah, so they can be quite aggressive birds. When they've got their chicks, they'll defend against harrier hawks and falcons and whatnot. Seagulls, big gulls, so they're quite aggressive. The spur and plover. Oyster catcher there is just hanging out. There's another one. Spur and plovers. Probably a bit wary of me. It's been cooling out as alarm call for the last 15 minutes because I'm in the area. Just an odd occasion, not too alarmed. Not nesting yet. Male banded dotterel, New Zealand banded dotterel. Just been a few of them flying around here. That's the male. Just landed. Just flying down there, that's all the female, and the male's chasing the female down the river there. So cool to see some banded dotterels. They live in similar sort of habitat to Wrybills. They're similar sort of, a bit more variety of food probably, but similar food sources probably as well. Blackback magpie, Australian blackback magpie. Actually, I might be wrong, can't remember the name, which magpie they are. Anyway, it's only 2 magpies in New Zealand, introduced from Australia. This is one of them. There's about 15 of them here in the riverbed here, which is not ideal for the other braided birds because these ones are really aggressive. But they have huge territories and cover heat flows, and there's quite a few juvenile ones with them actually. They're a nice big bird, the blackback gull. So yeah, they're quite the scavenger and the hunter. We'll get mouse plague, they hunt the mice in the riverbeds. And they, yeah, really aggressive on all the other birds, the dotterels, the plovers. Well, I like the plovers. The plovers can probably hold their ground against the blackbacks, but and oyster catchers can be pretty plucky too. But yeah, dotterels and things like that, Wrybills, probably susceptible to the black-back gull attack. So it looks like there's a black-back bill gull colony just ahead of me. So I'll have to go around them. Whether it's a colony nesting or whether it's just a daytime resting spot. Could end up being a nesting spot. I know there's a nesting spot down the river last year. Oh, yeah, it was quite a bit further down the river. I thought another K or two, but anyway, they may not have decided where they're going to nest this year. See a few of them flying around down there. I hear a falcon off in the distance somewhere. Out behind me, up the mountain hillside, up the forest side.
Oh well, no Wrybills today. Didn't see any in the high country up here, but that's alright. Saw there were a few dotterels, 2 pairs of dotterels, oyster catchers, and normal black-back gulls, plovers, quite a few magpies actually, was interesting. Not the magpies look like the juveniles, which whether they can't be juveniles from this year surely. Must be juveniles from last year. And I did see the first black-bill gulls I've seen up here for this season. Not to mean that they might have been up here for a month or so already. I haven't just noticed them. So that was cool to see, some black-billed gulls which are endangered. They also nest in the road birds up in the Canterbury High Country. So, no Wrybills yet, but that's alright. Alright, out here on a Wrybill hunt again. One of the big rivers near us. Looking for Wrybills. Heard rumour that they might have turned up. So out for a scout around. Yeah, lovely sunny evening, bit of a breeze. Just a day out, bit of an afternoon out with the family. Anyway, we're just going to have a picnic. But anyway, while they're playing in the river, I'm going for a bit of a wander up a different river. Just have a bit of a look and see if I can find a Wrybill. So, see how we get on. You never know. Don't know if you don't look.
So this is what searching for Wrybills is all about. Standing around, get your binoculars out, slowly checking around, checking the waterways and all this gravel, glassing around, seeing what you might see. Hear the spur and plover falling off to the side. Yeah, a day with lots of minos. There's a preen there. Enjoying the sunshine for what it appears in the next hour or so.
Kia ora, how you doing? Jamin here, out for another Wrybill hunt today in Canterbury High Country riverbed. Spot that I don't know if they're here or not, who knows, there's other bred river birds, we'll have a look around. You never know, it's huge big river valleys that these birds live in. But we'll have a look and see if we can
Any signs of Wrybill? Saw dotterel just before. There's some oyster catchers flying around up high. There's obviously the normal blackback gills and terns. But we'll have a bit of a look for the Wrybill. Haven't seen one yet. That's alright, been out a few times. Yep. So yeah, we'll keep on looking. Elusive Wrybill. Just to be careful because they're probably nesting about now. Down country ones are apparently almost hatching, but up here they'll probably arrive about 3 weeks later, so they probably should have started nesting by now. Certainly the dotterels and oyster catchers have. So yeah, just going to be very slow and careful where we go, not to disturb any of them. Canadian geese in flight, about to land. Hey! Hello there, the Canadian geese. Some Canada geese, Canadian geese. Yeah, they're probably nesting out in the river flat somewhere. Anyway, they're also a bit of an introduced pest, but yeah, they're a beautiful bird really. Yeah, have a bit of a honk. But yeah, they can get up into be, yeah, they're just a beautiful, they're pretty cool to see. Reminds me of visiting Canada, although they're in New Zealand, throughout New Zealand. I knew, well familiar with them in New Zealand before I went to visit Canada. So, they also remind me of the Canterbury High Country, primarily. Some more of the Canadian geese. Not very wary of these ones, obviously no one shoots them. They are a game bird in New Zealand. Well, they are technically, they were a game bird in New Zealand I should say, they've been declassified to become as a pest because they, well not as a pest, but yeah, they've taken off the game bird list, so you don't have to have a licence for them anymore because they're getting out of control in places and farmers needed better powers to better control them, and also the Fish and Game, who manage our game birds in New Zealand, needed to better cull them outside the season easier. So they just get a bit too high in numbers and destroy the crops, and also our high country farmlands and tuttock lands way up in the Alps. They're often up on the alpine tarns, so you make a bit of a mess. No, they're a beautiful bird. Just need to keep them at a healthy sized population for the rest of our New Zealand environment. Pretty stoked. I just think I've seen my first Wrybill. Not sure yet. Got to go and have a bit more of a look. It's quite a way away, but it hasn't got the chestnut band on the chest like a dotterel. So, keep looking. Exciting. Pretty cool if I see my first actual Wrybill today. That'd be pretty awesome. I'm pretty stoked. Make my day. So this looks like my first Wrybill. Haven't quite confirmed its beak. It's looking very much like one. Wow, I have to say I'm pretty stoked about that. Just saw my first Wrybill. It's awesome. Cool to see a bird I've never seen before. Obviously a little bit like a banded dotterel, but no chestnut band on the chest. And really stoked. I wasn't even sure. I was like, it looks like it's not a dotterel, but is it a Wrybill? Couldn't see its bendy bill. It's right facing bend. It's not as defined as I think. I've obviously seen too many close-up photographs of other people's. Yeah, it wasn't a very defined right hook. In fact, it wasn't until I really looked at my photos. Got some photos, first photos of a Wrybill. So it's pretty cool. Stoked to see. Anyway, I was feeding down the river. We're moving down the river beside me, and it's flowing off up the river further. So I'll just hang around here a bit, I think, and see what happens. I don't really want to go up the river. Could be its nesting area, or also there's a big flock of black. Main thing I don't want to go. There's a big flock of black gulls, and I don't want to disturb them. That just disturbs all the birds. Not that it really matters. Just means they'll make a whole lot of noise and annoy me. So yeah, they're a bit of a pest, really, black gulls. They eat a lot of other birds here and chicks and eggs. Some areas, regional councils and doctor a bit of control on black-backed gulls. Comes a tern, going past. That's the black-fronted tern. You probably can't hear that on my mic. Anyway, stoked. A Wrybill, my first Wrybill. And it's only taken me half an hour today. Or maybe a bit longer, 3/4 of an hour over out here. So that's pretty cool. Awesome. Update you more shortly if I see more Wrybills. Cool bananas. Just saw what looked like another Wrybill flying up the river way out over the main stream. But I can't be certain for sure, obviously, because the doctors are very similar. But yeah, it looked a bit like the one I just seen. Didn't have the chestnut I want to make out. It landed up similar to this area where the other Wrybill was gone. Actually, some birds flying. I'm going to go and have a look at that. Oh well, I can see a bird wandering around, like a little dotterel Wrybill type bird running around in the area where the birds landed, that I've been talking about. So, well, just have to wait and see. I can get closer or wait for them to come closer to me. They fly away and come down this way. See if it's Wrybills again. Pretty cool. So yeah, just waiting around. Keep an eye on where I saw what might have been Wrybills flying around and landed. Near black-back gold common. So just keep an eye on that area to see if they take off again, see if I can see where they end up, or if I can see them wandering a long way away, feeding around. No, it's an amazing amount of wildlife out in just the dry braided river systems that we have in our Canterbury High Country. Geese, paradise ducks this morning, Canadian geese, black-fronted terns, dotterel, oyster catch. Well, oyster catch in the river bed, but they're flying past. I'll be feeding here a bit, and out here in places. Just saw a hare on the edge, sort of in the light grassy fringes of the riverbed. Big English hare that we have in New Zealand. So yeah, pretty cool, pretty awesome. Not a bad day at all. Quite slight chilling breeze, but obviously it's sunny. Get out of the wind, it's nice and hot. Yep. So yeah, just keep on having a look to see what I can see. I mean, to see if I can see any more Wrybills. Well, I can see the Wrybills again. See if I can count more than one. It'd be cool if I could get an idea of how many there were here, but I'd probably have to spend a couple of days here to do that, which I haven't really got time. But anyway, nice to my family give me this time to come and have a bit of a wander around for a few hours. Keep looking. So just over there you can't see, it's way too far away, but I've been watching the binos. There were a couple of birds that looked a bit like Wrybills. Could be dotterels, of course, but couldn't see the chestnut band. Anyway, there were two of them sort of circling around each other for, I don't know, a minute or two. And I was like, well, there could be two males having a little bit of a territorial issue or female issue. Or it could be a male and a female. Anyway, they gave a little skiff, a little few jumped up and down and bounces around. And then one flew off down over behind this paradise duck here and over to this area over here. And it definitely looked more like a Wrybill. I wouldn't say 100%, but no chestnut band on it, so certainly not a male dotterel. Anyway, just waiting for him to pop out. The other one was still walking around up there, so I'm guessing there's a female or something. I thought I saw three of them flying around, well, possible three Wrybills or maybe dotterels. But they landed here. I'm pretty sure there are three Wrybills flying around. But wouldn't put my, only about 90% sure on there. Anyway, just waiting for this one to make its appearance again. It's just ducking behind little rocks. A little dip in the riverbed. So they're real easy to see in some ways, and then sometimes they just disappear, obviously in a little hollow. So just watching three birds flying around up high, way up the river. That looked a bit like Wrybill type flight, and well, same as Wrybill dotterel. But anyway, there's three of them. Two of them did a big circuit way up and came back round, and then they've come down, landed sadly by the black-backed bill colony, so I can't really go too close to that. But anyway, keep an eye out. I don't know whether they may not be Wrybills. It'd be awesome if there were three Wrybills here at least. I have no idea. I don't think anyone really knows. I think historically there's been some reports of them here. But yeah, don't know anyone actually monitors them at all. So yeah, paradise duck, female paradise duck. Don't know where she have a nest. They nest in trees usually. There's no trees anywhere near here, so She might be a early seed last year's female. Got no nest this year and doesn't know what she's doing. There's a few paradise ducks around here. There's quite a few up on the paddocks around about. They might not have started nesting yet either. Well, they should have. Start nesting. Anyway, this one's not sitting on the eggs, that's for sure. Well, she's not at the moment, and I'm guessing she's not the way she's hanging around spending time down here. Nice bird of a white head. Anyway, we get back to dotterels. Somewhere over here, got to look for a dotterel in this river bed. Anyway, I'll go back to my binos, because you can see a bit further and better, clearer than my camera can. But cool to be watching Wrybills. Coolness. So this Wrybill just turned up in front of me. This is the one I think that flew down and I couldn't see where it was behind the rocks. Might have landed closer than I thought. Anyway, it's just feeding along. I can see what looks like another one further up the river. So hopefully about to confirm at least 2 Wrybills in this area. North Canterbury High Country. Awesome to see. I love seeing birds that are special, well, only special because they're rare and endangered. No more special than the Canada goose, Wrybill pest, or the Canadian, yeah, or the paradise duck, which we find annoying sometimes with the noise. But special because they're a native species, endemic to New Zealand. They've got a very unique characteristic of their bill bending to the right. Doesn't show up at this sort of distance. Right, this Wrybill very camouflaged. They're more camouflaged in these rocks than the dotterels. So there's one just there. Oh, it's just going up the other side of the bit of water there. You can hardly see it. Up the other side, that little bit of blue bit. And then if we swing across, there's another one. We can find, I don't know where to find it probably. Going to find the paradise duck. And then somewhere in behind there. There's another. Oh, there. Just a little bit of movement there. Another Wrybill over there, so confirmed 2 Wrybills. So that's pretty cool. Confirmed 2 Wrybills. Now I'm pretty sure there's 2 one flying around, so it's possible these are 2 males from the way they're acting, and there might be a female on a nest, or thinking about nesting. Well, because she's flying around, she may or may not be nesting, who knows. Don't know how much time they have to spend on the nest, or how much they can leave them safely. Anyway, hope they don't get any floods. Bless these birds to be successful in fledging their little chicks this year. Won't get predated by seagulls or hawks or falcons or cats or hedgehogs or whatever. No, awesome to see. New Zealand Wrybill. Oh well, pretty stoked to have seen Wrybill today. I'm going to have to head back to my family shortly. And yeah, but cool. Two Wrybills. It's pretty cool to see at least 2. And probably 3, so possibly, well, I'd like to think it was 2 males posturing each other and a female flying around on the outside as well, because the 2 of them were flying around together. So I'd like to think, without being any expert of Wrybills, but knowing what I know about birds, that it could be 2 male Wrybills and at least one of them's got a female. So they should be nesting this year, if not now. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, they're quite distinct in how they have their chunky bills compared to a dotterel. That's pretty cool to see. Yeah, so I'm really stoked to see Wrybills after being out a number of days looking, well, a number of part days looking, you know, out 3 or 4 times looking this year. And first really wanting to get out last year when I knew a friend had seen one in this valley. So yeah, it's really cool. Stoked to see Wrybills finally. So yeah, the New Zealand Wrybill, they have the beak is bent to the right, I think it is, if I get it right, to the right, because they spend most of their time feeding on aquatic invertebrates from under the rocks and around the edges of the rivers. They migrate from the top, well, from the middle of New Zealand, well, from Auckland, from the Firth of Thames. In the wintertime they migrate up to there, and they migrate down to Canterbury and south, and they nest on the braided riverbed systems in Canterbury and south down to Otago, I believe. Not sure how far south they go. Can't remember. And yeah, and then they nest here for the summer, breed, fledge, hopefully don't get predated or eaten by anything. And then they migrate back down to the coast
and they often gather at Lake Ellesmere and other estuaries along the coast, and then they all fly up the coast apparently, back up to the Firth of Thames, and then they spend the winter there, and then the Marinda Flats are often spotted. So yeah, they migrate up and down each year. But yeah, because they live in the braided riverbeds, which are highly modified land around them a lot nowadays, particularly down country, out of the mountains. A lot of weeds that bind up the gravel alluvial riverbeds, and so they don't provide such good nesting habitat for the birds because of all the weeds, broom and gorse and lupins, briars and other things, willows. So yeah, and then there's lots of introduced animals, feral cats, stoats and rats, a lot of people, full drives, dogs, a lot of other things that can disturb them or upset their nesting. There are some good projects, people doing projects with them down, particularly on the Ashley Riverbed, protecting them, doing a lot of signage and monitoring and keeping people and vehicles out, a lot of trapping, keeping the stoats and the cat numbers down, so that they can at least breed. But yeah, they're still in very low numbers. I don't know what the overall population of Wrybylls is, but it's pretty low. And because they're on braided riverbeds and they don't really come under Department of Conservation's jurisdiction very much, they're not mostly on dock land, mostly on regional councils and stuff, so not a lot of focus on them by government organisations. ECAN obviously maybe a little bit. So we're more probably supporting community groups who are doing stuff. So like the Ashley Ruakea group, and there's Upper Lake Coleridge, there's a group, and other places around Canterbury doing stuff to protect braided riverbirds, which yeah, they like the black front of tern is also quite endangered to a degree. Well, endangered, not as dangerous as Wrybylls, but is it also endangered? So yeah. Hedgehogs are a bad thing for these birds also. Hedgehogs come in the riverbeds and snuffle up the eggs and chicks. Yeah, anyway, awesome to see Wrybylls today. So, I better get back home, and nice to see my Wrybill. First bird, another native endangered bird ticked off my list I haven't seen, so that's pretty cool. So I'm particularly interested in endangered birds just because they're rare and harder to find, just because I've always had a fascination with them. Obviously, but I also like to see other new birds I haven't seen. They're common, or more secretive, so that's pretty cool. Anyway, hope you have a great day. Catch you around sometime.